is how to study for English GCSE from someone who got a 9. I get so many questions about how to revise for English language. My biggest tip is just to like read as much as you can. It sounds really like strange, but the reason that I'm able to like do English language is because I read so much and I know like the phrases to use, I know how to write, I know what sounds good because I've read so much stuff. Literally just read anything and it kind of gives you like the idea of how you're meant to write and how they want you to write. Next is to memorize some good vocabulary. Just memorize like a few words that you can put in, or like a few basic like sentences that you can try and incorporate somewhere, but don't use so many that it kind of interrupts your own voice. The worst thing is when you're like writing something really good, but then you put in a word that either doesn't fit or it just sounds wrong. So definitely just try and use your own creative voice rather than trying to fit in like a bunch of really impressive stuff. If you know how to use certain words and vocab and structures, definitely use them, but don't overuse them if you're not too confident on it, because it will just sound strange. And then also on the topic of structures, make sure you use sentence structures and paragraph structures. There are so many options for this, but basically just make sure that you use varied like sentence structures, things like that. So like different clauses in a sentence, questions, anything like that. For the actual like analysis questions, make sure you read over the source a few times before you start answering questions on it. I really recommend reading the questions first so that when you read the source you know what you're looking for. For example, if there's like a certain point in the question that you need to analyze, while you're reading the text you can be highlighting and making notes about that specific thing. And then also while you're making notes, try and make some kind of plan on how you're going to write your question. I find that a lot of the time if I don't write some kind of plan on how I'm going to write my answers, I just end up talking about absolutely everything and you can't really focus on a specific point because you don't know what you're doing. Especially for the longer questions at the end of the paper, you can't write an intro if you don't know what you're talking about. So those are all the tips that I have. Let me know if there are any other subjects that you want advice for.